Today I'm joined with David Cairns. David has been working with me over the past 90 days, sort of following the upgraded body blueprint. Tried to get you back into your prime, rediscover your youth, get a bit more energy, get a bit more motivation, get you back in the sort of shape you were in when you were younger.
Definitely thereabouts, energy levels, stuff like that, like just up for doing anything, want to get out and just get involved with exercise again, whether it be wee challenges or running, or I was kind of looking at if there was any martial arts sort of stuff that I used to do when I was in my sort of teens.
Give us a bit of background about 90 or 3 months ago, post-COVID, how you were sort of feeling in yourself, in your body, what was sort of happening at that stage?
Well, coming out of the sort of winter months, wasn't moving as much as I had been at the end of last year. Like, wasn't out walking as much. Was feeling lethargic, stuck in the house, working from home. Was totally kind of like a dead end, no feeling inspired to do much, no energy levels, feeling tired all the time, kind of getting into bad routines and like staying up a bit later, and then you're not getting up, and then when you do get up, you're just kind of feel like you want to lie down again. There was just a very, very lacking motivation or anything like that to get going.
I think everyone felt that in the winter lockdown. The winter's a time where people tend to feel demotivated anyway. It's the long nights, it's the cold weather, you just snuggle up at night and hit the munchies. And then it was coupled up with lockdown, so it meant that we were even less able to get out and about. And that obviously put you in a position, especially when you add in that you'd moved from working in the office to working from home, where you just felt a bit stagnant, right, from a motivation standpoint and a physical standpoint.
I think it was at my heaviest I've ever been as well, as you just kind of said there at night, you're just sticking out munchies and eating away at your heart's content. You feel tired enough to go to bed, and then waking up and start lethargically from it, from stuffing your face the night before and not doing anything. Once you get up, you just sit back down in a seat and stare at a screen. So I definitely felt that I was at a point I need to change something quite drastically, or it's just going to be this cycle that I'll not manage to break.
And how did you feel before starting? So like initially, like day one, we grab a chat, we go through what we think we can manage to do. Did you think I'm going to do this in 90 days, or did you have some apprehension about it? Like, what was your sort of thoughts at the start?
At the start, it was just like, I'm going to start something, I'm actually going to do something. But if you're talking to yourself, it was just so easy to access and approach. There was no big scary go out and knock yourself out completely and then feel sore the next day, and then you're going to start know what to do that. It was all quite well thought out, spoke to you and told you what hours I was working, what times can you have to be about for the kids and things like that, and you kind of pointed out, well, this trying to exercise at this time isn't going to work. You're actually going to have to go and do it in the morning to make sure you get the best from it. So as well as exercising and eating, one of the biggest things for me to change was the sleep pattern, to make sure I had the energy the next day. So that was a positive. First of all, get your sleeping in order, and then that should hopefully take care of being able to access the exercise without feeling that you've completely used up all your energy. An easy way to get into it and start feeling good about yourself. I'm actually doing something now. I'm not just getting up and sitting in a seat. I feel like I've done something, whether it's one of the sessions or coming along to one of the the fit camps or something like that. Definitely a big boost.
So would you say that the reason that you joined up was a lot to do with the approach of organising things and making sure it's structured and fit, especially for you, as opposed to with a lot of this is your programme, go and do it, whereas there's a bit more of a back and forth. You were telling me this is my life and this is what happens, and I was like, right, let's do this and move these pieces about.
Aye, and my wife kind of followed it more than I did, structure. She was kind of interested in it and your approach and how you can put things forward. It's not a big scary dial. You must not do this or anything like that. It's kind of I'm going to make you accountable for it, but you're not going to be restricted too much. It's no any sort of mumbo jumbo or anything like that. Don't eat this or don't eat that. It's all get it in proportion and do what works for you. So it was a wee bit more achievable for the long term, specifically when you're thinking 90 days down the line, you're still going to be doing it. So if it's something that it wasn't accessible, as I keep saying, then probably would have been turned off by it. But when my wife presented this and kind of told me a wee bit about it, I goes, oh, that sounds like something that I kind of get my head round, and then I'll get into it.
So what were the results that you had in 90 days? How much fat did we lose in 90 days?
It was 2 stone, 1 pound by the very end.
T-shirt size, did that take you down a t-shirt size?
Definitely back down. It was into the clothes I used to be in. I had started kind of sneaking up the way into large, just to feel comfortable, and then we're out in the car or something like that, you were uncomfortable behind the wheel because your t-shirt's pulling at you, your trousers are choking off the blood to your legs or something like that. So it was definitely a lot more confidence in getting back into clothes clothes again. Measurements like that showed up, massive drops in like the waist and things like that, like where the sort of biggest loss of fat it was, even like my neck, like my collar, like for shirts and things like that, loosening up again a wee bit like that, and dropped a size in that back down to where I used to be, rather than again found myself sneaking up sizes, letting clothes just to feel that bit more comfortable. It feels comfortable in the clothes, but it doesn't make you feel comfortable in the sense of that you're getting bigger. So it's just it's like leisure slacks you find yourself wearing more and more just so you can get into them.
And what about sort of energy level, motivation, mindset? How did you feel mentally? Did it have an impact on you?
The weight loss started fairly quickly because probably was it the heaviest I've ever been just from eating rubbish. So that came off quite quick. So the energy levels went high, and then tailored with the exercise in the morning was just a big massive boost. Like, where's this coming from? And the sleep, didn't you realise you could feel like this again type thing so quickly? So that was a big boost to just motivate you to kind of keep going and get right into the programme and give it as much as prescribed, if you like. You thought, this is working quickly. That one, where's the hard bit going to come from?
You felt more motivated, more energy.
The mindset thing kind of always shifts as you're going along the 90 days. Like some days you are going to be a wee bit more of a struggle than others, particularly when the weight's the bigger kind of chunks of the weight come off and you get maybe down to, it's no shedding as quickly, and then you start getting maybe a wee bit less energy because you're not eating quite as much. Having to remind yourself, don't go mad and just start binging, because that's not going to make you feel better. Put your faith in what you've laid out and keep going, mate, and see what the results are going to be.
A lot of it, the commitment to it, right? It's committing to seeing it through to the end and actually continuing to just put the sort of tick boxes, doing the work, discipline, like doing it even in the absence of motivation. But people often think that people that get amazing results are super highly motivated people. It's not really the case. The case is the people who get really good results are highly disciplined people, because we all have motivation that goes up and down, goes in waves. Of course, everyone can be slightly different, but we all have our battles in motivation, especially the population I mainly deal with, over 30s. I'm sure in the 90 days there were things that happened in your little bubble that knocked things off kilter, little social events, barbecue, stuff like that. Normal stuff that happens that makes it easy for you to go, can I be asked sticking to this nutrition plan? Can I be asked doing this exercise? And beyond that, we can start talking about, family bereavements, or kids being ill, or you being ill, or, just all these different things that sort of the ebbs and flows of motivation. And you would have had those over the 90 days, right? And the days that you felt super motivated, where your training was awesome and you felt like you were in the zone, those days are easy. It's the days that you actually cannot be asked. You're like, the alarm goes off and it's like, right, I need to work out and I need to do this and I need to do that. Those are the days that actually get you the results. The accountability and getting the check-ins and feeling like you've got that presence of you, right? Like a coach is kind of big brother's watching you and pushing you forward to the result helps, right?
That keep you motivated, specifically at the beginning, in the sense of that you've maybe not got the mindset, your own mind's not quite there, but eventually the accountability thing shifts to your own sort of mind, that you're like that, you've maybe no managed to get up that morning, but it kind of eats away at you, and by the afternoon you've got your shorts and t-shirt on and like doing that session that you missed, and no making the excuse that you did maybe in the morning because you were a bit tired or sniffly or didn't feel quite well or something like that. Doing it always, whatever mood you were in after the exercise, always definitely made you feel better. So try not and listen to that bit of yourself too much that makes the excuses or is demotivating you to like, you don't need to do that today because you've got this, that or the next thing.
But people often think that all the barriers that you have, right, such as I've got kids, got a busy job, all these barriers that we create, people think that people who maybe have success with their fitness and their health maybe have less of those barriers, but that's not really the truth. The truth is that they still have the same barriers. They have a willingness to prioritise and push it in, and what we did with yourself was one of the things that I wanted to do was for you to steal time off your kids. Wanted to make it something that was added to the quality of life rather than taken away, and that's why we went for the morning sessions. That's why we tried to up your steps by doing things like, good weather. It was like going and picking up Penny from nursery and going and walking and doing it. So like adding physical activity into your daily routine as opposed to it constantly being workouts, which I think makes a big difference as well. Is not just seeing it as exercise and your life as separate entities, but actually trying to marry them together because it works much better that way.
I know that's definitely something I've learnt over the 90 days is like any sort of movement that all counts towards you, like keeping you fit and active. And then I went like enjoy going down and getting penny for the nursery, so try and do that as often as I can for a bit of fresh air and stretch the legs and have a play in the park and whatever it is. It's like one of the big enjoyments, city sides of it. So incorporating things like that, pointing out like how to kind of not get too carried away with it has to be, like total exertion, like sweating and pain the next day or anything like that. And that's, like that isn't just exercise. Going and doing the simple stuff, the enjoyable stuff is all part of it.
So I suppose to wrap up our little interview, what would be like a couple of your biggest takeaways from the 90 days? Like what were the things that you felt you got the most out of learning in 90 days?
The easiest one to pick on straight away would be like nutrition, like food. A lot more respect and understand it a wee bit better. Like quantities, certainly from tracking from like the 90 days, you begin to be able to judge things and just steer away from like grabbing a bit of chocolate as you're walking past and shoveling it in your face, and then before you know it, you've done that like 5 times a day or so. That would be the case previously. So it would be like, if you're going to have a bit of chocolate, like sit down and enjoy it, make the most of it, because other than that, you're just going to end up putting the weight back on. Like the sleep one, well, I can mention that at the beginning. Like, that's one of the big ones for me. Like, and then a really good routine so that you're not feeling lethargic through the day, whether it be with the kids or at work or exercising, so you can put your most into everything. And then the shift in mindset, enjoying exercise, like getting out there and looking for different challenges and things like that to do, and joining in with friends. Like one of the things, like friends would go out and do runs and stuff like that, and I just wouldn't approach it because I wouldn't know where to run to the end of the block. But now I can join in a wee bit, feel like I'm no a burden on anyone, and also just feeling confident now with clothes and wearing them again, and think, well, I might actually get a new wardrobe.
So to summarise, nutrition, so understanding the actual nutrition behind food, as opposed to like demonising food, like chocolate's bad, burgers are bad, and as salads are amazing. It's not really that simple. It's more what's actually inside the food. Look, what's the calorie content, what's the macros, how is this going to work in with my goals, and then making educated choices around it. Sleep, the importance of sleep, the importance of having good quality sleep and having a sort of schedule around sleep so that you're getting enough recovery and have enough energy to actually face the day and be productive and perform well. And I think this is the one that's really understated. Like sleep is like the foundation of your day, right? If you have a crap sleep, you're probably gonna have a crap day. And anyone who's a parent can totally understand that, right? Like going through that period of sometimes, some people it can be years, or for me and Leanne, it's definitely been sporadic spells of sleep deprivation, and you really do notice it, right? How much it impacts your performance and how you feel that for the rest of the day. And in mindset, instead of thinking about exercise as being this sort of punishment and intensity and I've got to kill myself and I've got to work hard, shifting more towards enjoying exercise and making physical activity something that's pleasurable. And of course, sometimes you have to put the pressure on yourself, the intensity on yourself, and work hard if you want to get results. But 50% of the time, you can go for a stroll with your kids to the park. You can run about and play. You can do some, cycling with your mates, right? You can do these things, and that counts as physical activity. It, keeps you fit, burns calories, and and the thing that's most effective is that about that style of exercise is you will keep it up. And you've mentioned now, hopefully, maybe thinking about getting back into martial arts because you enjoyed it in your youth. Now you're thinking, hey, I've got a bit of fitness. I could probably go back to that. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, but keep up the training as well, because that's like the city foundation of it. Like you definitely feel like I feel much stronger, and when you can, that gives you the confidence and things like that as well. It meshes into like the one sort of goal, if you like, or whatever the outcome is, just to spur you on to the next thing. Holistic approach rather than just one thing's going to solve everything.
Yeah, definitely. It's more of a lifestyle approach, right? Than I'd like saying it, because lifestyle coaching, I feel like it brings with it some negative connotations, because I think it kind of comes under that category of like life coaching, which I always feel odd about from the perspective of like, who am I to coach someone on how to live their life? You know what I mean? Like I'm a 31-year-old, I've got a small family, like I'm not like some super hyper successful person that I can go about and be like, hey, this is how you should live your life. But instead, I suppose it is a lifestyle approach in terms of helping someone to improve an area of their life, which I feel comfortable with. I feel comfortable being able to improve someone's health, fitness, and how they feel about their body. definitely the physical aspects, which, as you know now, when you get those physical aspects right, it does help those mental aspects as well.
Yep, definitely.
And if you are talking to someone who was in a similar situation to yourself, who's maybe demotivated, maybe it's COVID, maybe it's totally unrelated, maybe they just kind of lost their way, would you recommend the service, and what do you think separates it and hopefully makes it seem like a viable option to someone that's maybe get their interest piqued, right? Or maybe like, right, there's a million different coaches out there, there's a bazillion different programs.
I know, definitely would recommend it to anyone. Just get going, like speak to yourself. You're a dead easy guy to speak to. You've always got good comments, you've got good approach. As I said earlier, you make it so accessible. There was no scare factor at the beginning. It was always kind of like motivated and encouragement, and like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I could, like, you're pointing out like how this is going to happen, giving me the blueprint how to going to do it. So that's where I want to be at the end of it. Like, I don't want to be stuck where I am now. So that's the sort of starting point, and you just point the direction, and like you're going to be there throughout it for any sort of feedback or any sort of tips, hints, anything you want to fling at you. You've always got some good information or advice how to approach things, whether it be the exercise, the sleep, the nutrition. There's encyclopedic knowledge, all these sort of things. So and then like going to the fit camps as well was great. Like seeing other people, all different sort of ages, abilities. We weren't intimidated then. You were just joining in and doing what you could and feeling good at the end of it. So, and then coming back and doing the training sessions when we're selling, kind of tracking that a wee bit more, and like seeing the development there and the changes like that, everything just kind of snowballed to like get to a point that you feel good and keep going. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone that's sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do with myself type thing. I don't know if I want to do something, but I don't know what it is. I'd say speak to yourself and take it from there.
Awesome. You've been an absolute pleasure to coach. Over the 90 days, it's been a pleasure. Super easy client to work with. Ticks all the boxes. You do all the work, and simply put, you get the results, right? Like if you do the work that I put out in front of you,
that's it.
It's in the pudding, right? You get the results. But it's been an incredible journey in 90 days. And I keep saying in the wee post, it's like from dad bod, athletic dad bod. Maybe not say athlete, maybe pushing the boat out say athlete, but it's definitely. And if your family notice the difference, if your friends notice the difference, people bump into you, do they go,
things like my mate, well, I was away on holiday, then one of them must have seen your post, so that was all over the chat and stuff like that, and I thought I was just going to get the absolute mickey taken out, to put it politely, but no, everybody was dead complimentary, like, well done, like some change, and like what a transformation. And then closer to home, like Penny, she's like that, is that you doing your exercise, Dad? Look at me, I can do mine as well, and that's her getting involved. Awesome. What to be active and seeing the sort of changes for just sitting on the couch and putting a cartoon on. So it's all positive.
That's definitely, I think, the magic part of it. If you can not only improve your own confidence, improve your own fitness, but now being a dad, like being able to have that cheesy role model position, right? Of being able to of your kids maybe looking up to your physicality, right? You being strong, you being able, and it's a nice thing when it comes to things like sports day. I don't know if there's going to be any with COVID now, right? But sports day are these kind of things where you're running about at the park with other parents, their kids, and you're the fit dad. I think it's quite it's a nice place to be, not in a smug way, but it just makes you feel good about yourself, and your kids feel fun. Yeah, it makes you fun, and then your kids feel good about it, and it's sort of, hopefully you can pass that on, right? She's going to start being like, you say, I want to exercise, I want to be strong, I want to be fit. Hats off to you. Awesome work. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cheers